Well, look at us again. The Chicago Cubs winners and walk-off fashion this time, completing the sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies. We're going to talk about that. Plus, we got to bring up the fact that the Chicago Cubs injuries, especially the pitchers, are mounting high. Plus, the Chicago Cubs make a trade. And on top of that, we got to get you ready for the series against the Dodgers. All that and more right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode, guys. I appreciate each and every last one of you. Now, with that being said, the Chicago Cubs do go ahead and complete that sweep against the Philadelphia Phillies on Thursday afternoon. It did not come without controversy, without drama. The Chicago Cubs literally had at one point like a 6-2 lead over the Philadelphia Phillies, and it looked like they were going to cruise. Edward Cabrera was on the mound, and he was just doing what he needed to do. And all of a sudden, the Phillies started putting together an inning. That's right. And it just got to a point where it was like, oh, man, like this is really starting to catch up with the Chicago Cubs. Brandon Marsh had himself a day. Not only did he homer, he singled, and then he also drove in. Brandon Marsh also drove in. He went 3 or 4, drove in 3 runs in this game, had 2 home runs in this game himself, literally carrying the Philadelphia Phillies in this one. And then, of course, we move to the 8th inning where Seiya Suzuki gets another hold of another one and gives the Cubs back the lead after it's tied 6-6, and the Cubs go up 6-7, and then Aroldis Garcia homers after that, and the Phillies go up 7. The Phillies tie the game 7-7. After that, Dansby Swanson would be the hero in the 10th inning by knocking in, getting his first walk-off hit as a Chicago Cub. It's crazy that it's like this, but yeah, he just got his first hit as a Chicago Cub right now during this game. So again, kudos to the Chicago Cubs for fighting back. This game never should have been this close, but there are some glaring issues that the Chicago Cubs do need to start worrying about addressing. We have to figure out what's going on with our health department, with the people that are working the sidelines, with our trainers, our athletic trainers, and everything like that. We have way too many people getting injured for this to be the Chicago Cubs, and for this to be a championship caliber team. I'm happy about the win. I really am. I really am happy about the win. It's great to say that you've won 9. That you've won 9 straight win. You won 9 straight games. But yet and still, you got to think about the fact that the Chicago Cubs have had some injury concerns, and these concerns keep rearing their ugly heads. And eventually, guys, it's going to end up catching up with the Chicago Cubs if they just don't have enough arms. You got to start bringing up guys from AAA that may not be ready. The Chicago Cubs almost lost this game alone based off having to depend on guys that were just not reliable. Shout out, though, to Riley Martin and to Javier Assad. Both those guys really stepped up in this game for the Chicago Cubs, securing this victory. Javier Assad getting the win in this one. And yeah, man, like I said, it's a next step up mentality, next man up mentality with this team. Dansby Swanson said it in these post-game interview. But yeah, it's a next man up mentality with this team, and it is important because that is how you're going to have success. However, you also want to add to this because you're starting to lose guys dropping down like flies. Now, thankfully, you're pretty healthy in the outfield right now and in the infield. But as far as in the bullpen, you are struck right now. And it's one of those things where it's just like, man, like, could the Cubs' luck be any worse when it comes to pitchers this season? And coincidentally enough, if you guys remember, That was the main thing that Craig Counsell and Jed Hoyer wanted to focus on this offseason, was acquiring as much pitching, as many arms as possible, because you just never know who's going to get injured. It appears that Javier Assad now has been moved to our bullpen, which I don't hate that at all. And it appears Colin Ray is going to stay in the lineup, in the pitching rotation as of right now, until the Cubs make a trade or do something for that. But I believe the Cubs should do something rather sooner rather than later, as far as making a trade to get somebody in here to keep the Chicago Cubs competitive. I mean, like I said, you got a tough stretch of games coming up, and you now play in the toughest division in all of baseball as of right now, as of today. The Cardinals are above 500. The Pirates are above 500. The Reds are above 500. Like I said, the Brewers are above 500. Everybody's above 500 in our division as of right now. Not at 500, above 500. So you want to keep. You want to try to lose as many games. You want to try to win as many games as possible and lose as least games as possible if you're the Chicago Cubs. So, and you got to have pitching to do that. So the Chicago Cubs did go ahead and pick up that victory. Like I said, I know the Phillies really wanted this one and they felt good about it, especially when they made that comeback. But when you play at home and you're able to get the walk-off, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the game. I mean, it's just basic math. It's very hard to win in walk-off fashion. Well, you can't win in walk-off fashion, but to win in extra innings when you are the road team playing, it's very, very tough to do that. But again, like I said, I like that the Chicago Cubs completed the sweep. I'm hyped about that, fired up about that. The Chicago Cubs also, in other news, do make a trade with the Colorado Rockies. They trade for Nicky Lopez, a roster move that will likely be made prior to Friday's game. Lopez is one of the favorites of manager Craig Counsell, who loves his defense and his versatility. Nicky Lopez was already on the Chicago Cubs, finds himself back on the Cubs. This move is primarily because of what you saw in Wednesday's game, where we failed at third base when we tried to sub in different guys. Alex Bregman was obviously in the DH role, and then of course, you had Matt Shaw that you subbed out of first base. I'm sorry, you had Matt Shaw that you subbed out of third base in that game, and so then you were left trying to figure out, okay, just what the heck are we doing here, and how can we win this baseball game? And again, we've seen that Craig Counsell is going to do the substitution thing. So this kind of tells me that Scott Kingery may not be up in the majors much longer. He may find himself down in the minors plan, just because this move right here is a direct result of Tuesday's game, where he could not play third base. So, I think he committed 2 errors at third base alone, 2 throwing errors at third base alone that could have almost cost the Cubs the game. Nicky Lopez is a much better option to be able to come in at third base for the Chicago Cubs and to be able to handle business there. So it sucks. It sucks that it has to be that way. But again, like I said, when you're a team that's seeking to win games and seeking to be competitive, this is kind of what you have to do. So again, that is a part of that. So welcome back to the Chicago Cubs, Nicky Lopez. I'm sure we'll see him probably Friday or maybe even Saturday against those Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, with that being said, we do have to talk about the injury to Caleb Thielbar. Caleb Thielbar who was one of our top 4 relievers. Looks like he suffered a hamstring injury in the game, tied up in the top of the 9th against the Philadelphia Phillies on Thursday. So it looks like a hamstring injury is tricky, guys. Hamstring injuries, because you can't do much with them. They like I said, you can't really work them out. You can't really play with them. And if you try to continue to play through it, you will exhaust and end up harming yourself and doing even more damage. So Caleb Thielbar will probably be on the 15-day IL. Hunter Harvey is currently on that same 15-day IL. Phil Maton is still on that 15-day IL. And Daniel Palencia is also on that 15-day IL as of right now. So the Chicago Cubs are going into a tough stretch of games against against the Los Angeles Dodgers and against the San Diego Padres, and they are without 4 of their top bullpen pitchers as of right now. So we are going to need guys to step up in this game in these next 2 series. Otherwise, the Chicago Cubs are going to have a tough go here. Hobie Milner now moves higher up into the circle of trust. He is somebody that the Chicago Cubs are going to be depending on. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I don't trust Jacob Webb as far as I could throw him. I feel like every single time he comes into the game, it's an opportunity for the Cubs to give up the lead or to lose the game. In fact, it was actually under Jacob Webb that they brought in that the Philadelphia Phillies went on their roll to even tie the game up. So again, it's just one of those things where we have to figure out what's going on here. We're going to depend on Javier Assad a lot. We're also going to depend on Ben Brown a lot. We're also going to depend on Riley Martin a lot. You might even see Luke Little join the club again and be a part of the major league team just because we need more arms. We're going to need guys that can throw strikes and get people out. And like I said, and try to win 2 more series. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. So the Chicago Cubs are back at the top of the Central Division, 16-9, leading the Central Division, along with the Cincinnati Reds. But let's get you ready now for the Dodgers series coming up. This is a huge series coming up. You got a 1-night game, 1 evening game, and then 1 afternoon game. So let's look at this. So the Cubs play the Dodgers on Friday at 9:15. This game will be on Apple TV, will not be featured on the Marquee Sports Network. You guys can get a free subscription, I think, to Apple TV or a free trial for Apple TV and watch the game. Like I said, or if you have NBA, or if you have MLB TV, you should be able to stream the game from there also. Then Saturday, the game will be on Fox and MLB TV, and then Sunday's game will also be on MLB TV. Right now, we're looking at Jameson Taillon pitching for the Chicago Cubs on Friday night at 9:15 for that game. He will go up against Emmett Sheehan. So Jameson Taillon is 0-1 with a 3.97 earned run average. Meanwhile, Emmett Sheehan is 2-0 with a 5.85 earned run average in this game. So the Chicago Cubs are going to look to give him Emmett his first loss of the season in that one. It's going to be a tough outing. Then after that, on Saturday, it's Colin Ray pitching for the Chicago Cubs. He's 3-0 with a 3 earned run average. He's a 1.10 whip, 24 innings pitched. Meanwhile, Roki Sasaki will be going for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Roki Sasaki has had a terrible start to the season. 0-2 with a 6.11 earned run average, a whip of 1.87, and 17 2/3 innings pitched. He has not adjusted to the majors very well just yet. And then, of course, Shota Imanaga will pitch for the Chicago Cubs on Sunday. He's 2-1 with a 2.17 earned run average, a 0.72 whip, and 29 innings pitched. Meanwhile, it'll be Justin Robleski pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's 3-0 with a 1.88 ERA, a whip of 0.88, and he has pitched 24 innings. Max Muncy leads the Dodgers in home runs with 8. Andy Paez leads the Dodgers in batting average, OPS, and slug. And Andy Paez also has batted in 21 RBIs this season. And, of course, for the Chicago Cubs, Ian Happ has 7 home runs. Nico Hoerner still has the best added batting average on the team, and Nico Hoerner also leads the team in RBIs. These two teams are fairly even match. And And this is the part that I want to bring up that we want to make sure that we talk about. The Chicago Cubs miss on this road trip. The Chicago Cubs miss Shohei Ohtani pitching, Yamamoto pitching, and Tyler Glasnow pitching. So you have an opportunity to face the bottom of the Dodgers pitching order. This is an opportunity here. I almost kind of wish the Cubs would have been able to face the top part of the order so you could really see what you're working with and see what you need to get better at. But at the same time, take advantage and play who's in front of you, because you got another tough series coming after this with the Padres, who's playing really good baseball and going to be licking their chops to try to get a game or two on the Chicago Cubs of retribution after what happened last year in the postseason. So I'm excited. It's going to be a fun weekend of baseball. It's late night baseball, guys. Make sure that you guys stay up. I'm going to drop an episode after, so if you do fall asleep, you can wake up and you can watch this on Saturday morning, and then of course 6:15 primetime baseball on Fox for anybody that wants to watch that one, and then of course on Sunday 3:10 p.m. You guys don't want to miss that game either. It's going to be a great weekend. Hey, but listen, I didn't forget. We swept them. We swept those Phillies. We got to fly the damn W. That's right. Every time the Chicago Cubs win a game, we fly the W right here on Chicago Cubs Central. Until next time, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.